Marvin G. Meyer era una persona aparentemente normal. Nacido en Dakota del Sur en 1951, creció en un hogar completamente normal. Nadie tiene conocimiento de que haya tenido una infancia traumática, pero sí es cierto que de adulto llevó una vida sospechosamente solitaria. Digo sospechosamente porque, para el ámbito de una persona de valores conservadores del medio rural como era él, es extraño que no acabara formando un núcleo familiar. Con el tiempo se trasladó al pueblo de Granby, Colorado. Allí fundó un taller mecánico. Muy diestro en la soldadura y en la reparación de silenciadores para coches, acabaría teniendo problemas con unos vecinos muy poderosos. Al cabo de un tiempo, se instaló cerca de su taller nada menos que una inmensa fábrica de cemento. Se trataba de una planta de la empresa Mountain Park Concrete. Todo habría marchado con normalidad si no fuera porque la empresa no se limitó a situarse cerca o al lado, sino que prácticamente rodeó la propiedad de Marvin. Recordemos algo importante. Marvin se ganaba la vida reparando silenciadores de coches. Esto quiere decir que limitar el acceso a su taller para los vehículos hacía prácticamente imposible cualquier trabajo. Los coches no podían pasar, y no olvidemos que estamos hablando de Estados Unidos, donde los vehículos más comunes suelen ser del tamaño de un camión en Europa. Hay constancia de que Marvin intentó solucionar este problema como pudo. Intentó negociar con la empresa y hasta se ofreció a crear un acceso especial que él mismo costearía, pero la respuesta fue siempre negativa. Los años pasaron, hubo denuncias y la empresa, como era de esperar, siempre ganaba. Ninguna apelación servía y el ayuntamiento, lejos de mediar o intentar llegar a una solución, solo agravó la situación, imponiendo demandas y multas de todo tipo. Cualquiera pensaría que una cosa es tener problemas con esa empresa y otra muy distinta acumular multas. Esto último dependería solo de uno y de lo bien o mal que se lleve con la ley en su día a día. Sin embargo, la versión de Marvin fue siempre la misma. Él estaba siendo víctima de una campaña de acoso y derribo por parte de la empresa con la complicidad de las instituciones locales. A esta larga lista de enemigos se sumaría el Sky High News, el periódico local. Este había sido acusado por Marvin de formar parte de un complejo complot destinado a manchar su reputación. Entre otras cosas, todos sus litigios con la empresa cementera eran tratados en el medio como conflictos con un vecino problemático. Él vio inmediatamente que el periódico estaba literalmente comprado por la compañía, lo cual me parece absolutamente plausible. Los problemas seguían. No solo no conseguía solucionar sus problemas logísticos, sino que a su fuente de ingresos paralizada se le acumulaban multas y más multas. Toda una situación de acorralamiento constante que un día alcanzaría un momento crítico. 4 de junio de 2004. 2:30 p.m. Marvin llevaba bastante tiempo encerrado en su taller del que nunca salía. Los vecinos pensaban que ya se había cansado de luchar contra un gigante de la producción de cemento, o directamente se habían olvidado de él. Todo lo que parecía un día normal acabaría dejando un recuerdo imborrable en los habitantes del hasta entonces tranquilo pueblo. 14:45. Los primeros vecinos comienzan a llamar al número de emergencias. Había hecho acto de presencia una inmensa excavadora Komatsu D355AA, modificada. ¿Cómo que modificada? Básicamente estaba blindada con todo tipo de planchas de metal que cubrían toda la máquina, incluidos los cristales. Era prácticamente un tanque y nuestro protagonista la comandaba desde dentro. El primer destrozo sería la puerta misma de su propio negocio y a continuación, mejor ves el vídeo.
This is tape. This is when we first arrived on scene, and it looked like officers standing on a hill above this earth overturned tank were firing some pretty heavy arms at it, trying to find a weak spot, trying to find some way to immobilize. This span was now on the east side of Granby in what's called an independent propane company yard. We thought for a time he might actually be taking out some of the propane tanks. He kind of looked like that's what he was thinking about. He took off and headed into the downtown area again. Now, if you'll stay with me, Cyber David Gregg is going to fast forward some of the videotape, show you just a little bit of some of the crazy things that this man has done over the course of the past hour and a half. And again, we want to emphasize that last check when we were last over Granby about 15 minutes ago, he had been stuck in inside the back end of the Gambles appliance store, apparently taken out his own radiator, and the engine had seized up, and SWAT team members were trying to get inside the tank. But a tank it is. It's an earth mover no more. It's actually a tank. Do you guys have some questions you would like to pass along? Those are the propane tanks that he was kind of milling about at the time.
Absolutely. Luann, can you take us through it chronologically so people get a sense? I know it all started about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Where did he begin? Do you know?
He started on the end of town. We are told unofficially, we want to emphasize that, this man owned a business next to the concrete company. Maybe he had a long-standing beef with the concrete company in Granby. A very long-standing, decades old, as described to us. And then he went after the concrete company first. He then made his way down Main Street of Granby and actually was taking out buildings as he passed. Took out much of the town hall, took out the library. May have gone through the Liberty Bank. It actually looks like he might have punched in one side of the new Liberty Bank in Granby and came out the other. This was, these pictures were taken, again, this is fast forward, but these pictures were taken at about 4 o'clock or so. This would have been about an hour into the rampage. You can see the armor plate on the side of that. It didn't seem to matter what police officers did with the rifles and such, and they could not pierce it. This was an earth scraper they moved in to try to do some combat, to try to in some way mobilize the scraper. Almost got where he was turning it over at that point there, but the scraper is just no match for the pad there, the Caterpillar turned tank.
Hey, if you're just joining us, it's now 5 o'clock. This is News 4 at 5. This story's been developing since about 3 o'clock. This is file tape of a man who's got into a bulldozer that he's made into a makeshift armored covered bulldozer, and he's damaged or destroyed half a dozen buildings in Granby, a town of about 1,500, about 50 miles west of Denver in Grand County. So far, we're hearing no one's been injured, but it has not been confirmed.
Luann, let's go back to you, please. Tell me. You talked about this a little bit earlier, but you look at that vehicle, you can't see anybody in there. Did you ever get a look at the person who's inside?
We never did, and I think that because he geared this up, he outfitted it to act like a tank, that he had a very tiny kind of point of view that he could see out of. We were skeptical when we first arrived on scene that there was any way for him to fire any weapons out of this, and I think that's exactly the case. What you see on top of there is debris, some venting, a whole lot of cinder blocks. He's actually pushing cinder blocks. These are remnants. This is debris from the buildings he's taken out over the course of the past hour or so prior to when these pictures were taken. Now, if you'll stay with us, he is just headed westbound again. This is tape. He is just again headed westbound into the downtown area. Right there, may have taken out a radiator. He doesn't stop for light poles. He doesn't stop for buildings. He takes out the corner of the Copycat store. Again, this is right in downtown Granby. And then the Gamble store next to this became another prime target. He backed up while the radiator's smoking. While he has any power left, he's going to attack that Gamble's appliance store. Many of the stores, the buildings, the offices that we have seen him take out apparently seem to have some rhyme or reason to him, some kind of history, some kind of ongoing gripe that were part of his problem with the city officials and some of the other business owners in Granby. He's going to turn around here and make one last stand and shove that Caterpillar into the Gamble's appliance store.
According to some witnesses, that he reportedly also is armed with a machine gun. Can you see that from your vantage point?
We think there's absolutely no truth to that. We were hearing different reports, some along those lines. We also heard rumors that at one point they were trying to get an armor-piercing machine gun brought in from Hot Silver Springs, which is about 10 miles down the highway. That apparently was their thought as to what their only hope was as to how to stop this man. But he actually ended up stopping himself. You can see now that long stream of wet pavement there. That's the radiator. Apparently took out the hose or some other part of a radiator underneath this Caterpillar. And he's going to make one last stand, go over the curb, and start punching his way into the Gamble store and into the back of that. When we left the area of Granby about 20 minutes ago, he had wedged himself in the back end of this store. And apparently had taken out the radiator. He was going to mobilize to get SWAT team members trying to figure out how to get inside the Caterpillar.
And is that where it stands right now, Lou? Have they gotten inside? Do you know?
We don't know. We haven't been able to communicate with our crew on the ground up here. You can see he just is deliberate and determined, and nothing will stop him except his own equipment. What we're going to do, if you can stay with me now, he's going to make one last stand here. We're going to fast forward again and show you how far he gets, and then we'll take it up to where we actually have members of the Grand County SWAT team, the Sheriff's Office SWAT team, standing on top of the Caterpillar, trying to figure out how to get in. I'm sure police officers, sheriff's deputies were themselves assuming for a time that he was armed because they were trying to keep their distance, trying to take cover. Actually took cover, as you can see there, behind the scraper. But they seemed to realize at some point that he was unable to shoot out, and that at this point it was like a turtle on his back. He was very vulnerable. He had gotten himself wedged and disabled the caterpillar, and there was no place for him to go. The challenge now was to get him out of there. We don't know how that stands.
So the video we're looking at is of that department store you were talking about. Is also, we understand that the hardware store, I also understand that he did some damage to a bank, Liberty Bank, that was recently opened, and the town's newspaper building, a two-story structure as well.
Sky High News is the newspaper office there. We're told that that's been virtually a rubble. We heard from the Terry Hurl on News 4 earlier, and she owns an antique gun shop, black powder gun shop on the other end of the store, and she said that somebody came running in and told her to run out because it looked like this man earlier was making a beeline for their store and then turned out and it went elsewhere.
Yeah, it seems again, as we talked about earlier, that it was very systematic, that he was picking and choosing where he was going. He was very deliberate in his choices.
Yeah, there may well have been a method to his madness, which is probably a good way to look at it right now. Pilot Mike Silva, photographer David Gregg, and I have taken a poll. We've been flying collectively for about 70 years in this market. We've never seen anything like this.
You know, Luann, we'd like to go now, and stay with us. We understand that you've got great video, and you definitely have a vantage point, and you understand what's going on, and you've certainly done a great job bringing us up to date. But we'd like to talk now with Bonnie Brown. Bonnie is joining us by telephone. And Bonnie, we understand that you are a friend, perhaps, of the man who is inside that bulldozer. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What can you tell us about this person?
Well, systematically is going to different buildings. That is correct. Based on going with the concrete. And he went into shambles because the person who owns it was on the town council. Had to do with excessive taxes on his property that he purchased to build his muffler shop. And he talked to me about doing this back in January, just in a conversation while we were having dinner, and I thought that he was just kidding. I had no idea. Continue.
Bonnie, without giving us his name, please don't. Tell us, when you did talk to him and he was planning this, according to you, did he mention the buildings he was going to hit, the specific buildings?
No, he said to the people that caused harm, that I'm trying to think of how I put it, that he would pay them back
Bonnie,
for what they had done to him.
take us again through his gripe. I don't quite understand what he was upset about.
Well, I wasn't really paying attention because I thought that he was just kidding, and he had mentioned something about the person this land at a public land auction, and that unbeknownst to him, the man had owned the property and was bidding against him, and he wasn't able to bid on, so he ended up winning the property. And the man actually had annexed this piece of property under the table with the town of Granby, and that Marv didn't know anything about this, so he tried to sell the previous owner the land back, and he didn't have enough money. And so then when Marv was trying to develop his property,
Bonnie, let's jump in here. Let's be careful not to say names because obviously this person is not considered, he's a suspect.
He hasn't been identified.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
He's still inside, we understand. Tell me about this vehicle. Did he actually say he was going to take a bulldozer and armor it?
well, he didn't say he was going to armor it. He said, I'm going to take a bulldozer and sue the town.
And did he say specific buildings, specific businesses?
No, because I didn't know the people that were involved. He said that it was the town council members, and so I missed it because of several other buildings that were taken out had all something hard to do with this land transaction and the taxes that were levied upon him and that cost him.
Lo primero que el improvisado tanque destruyó fue el ayuntamiento. Todos los funcionarios y cargos públicos huyeron despavoridos, pues en el momento del ataque se estaba llevando a cabo una reunión. Comienza a desplegarse la policía. la cual dispara el vehículo. Las balas rebotan contra la coraza metálica. A continuación prosigue hasta la casa de un exalcalde. Durante su gestión, por lo visto, trabajó del lado de la empresa. La casa quedó muy seriamente dañada. Deja atrás las ruinas de la casa del exalcalde y se dirige hacia el periódico Sky High News. Embiste contra el edificio y acaba destrozando por completo todas sus oficinas. Ahora le tocaría el turno a las empresas que le hicieron la vida imposible, especialmente la compañía de cementos. La policía intenta bloquearle el paso colocando vehículos pesados de construcción. El ya conocido como Killdozer los derriba como si fueran castillos de naipes. Y prosigue. Recordemos que estamos en Estados Unidos. Allí la policía, y a veces hasta la población civil, está equipada para una auténtica guerra. Utilizan todo tipo de granadas e improvisados explosivos. Nada sirve contra el potente blindaje. Intentan escalar por encima de la excavadora, pero una protección instalada en su parte superior lo impide. Último ataque. Una ferretería cuyo propietario habría contribuido a su derrota en los pasados litigios. Este sería su final. En el local que acaba de destruir había un sótano en el que el Killdozer quedó atrapado, sin posibilidad de escapar. Atrapado, el vehículo quedó inmóvil durante unos minutos y seguido a esto se oyó un disparo desde dentro. Tras comprobar que no había explosivos en la máquina y tras horas trabajando con sopletes, la policía descubriría el interior de aquel monstruo. La cabina estaba llena de monitores de televisión conectados a diversas cámaras situadas en los rincones externos del Killdozer. Desde esa sala de mando se controlaba toda la operación de venganza. Bajo todos esos dispositivos se encontraba el cuerpo sin vida de Marvin. Este se habría disparado al ver que no podía proseguir. No era una medida desesperada, sino algo planificado. Esta es la conclusión a la que llegó la policía. La razón es simple. Marvin soldó completamente el vehículo por dentro. Es decir, construyó la máquina con él dentro y sin posibilidad alguna de salir. El balance en pérdidas materiales es de 13 edificios destrozados y pérdidas por valor de entre 4 y 7 millones de dólares. Entre los daños humanos, solo hubo que lamentar la pérdida de Marvin, y no hubo ni un solo muerto ni herido en todo el pueblo. Como cargo adicional se suman los miles de dólares que costó el desmantelamiento del vehículo. Digo que es interesante porque, aun cuando el cuerpo de Marvin seguía caliente, ya sabían que este acto sería más motivo de admiración que de condena. Y así fue. Entre las repercusiones hubo numerosos cambios en normativas de seguridad. Hubo también un consenso popular bastante extendido de que Marvin actuó solo como un hombre acorralado por un sistema corrupto. Actualmente hay incluso merchandising hecho y consumido por fans. Camisetas, réplicas de juguete del Killdozer, ilustraciones y numerosas muestras de respeto. Todo eso y mucho más puede verse en Internet. Quizás sea un héroe de la cultura popular en un país en el que el individuo no es nada y las grandes corporaciones lo son todo. En cualquier caso, el pueblo de Granby, Colorado, nunca volverá a ser el mismo. ¿Tú qué opinas? ¿Fue un héroe o un villano? ¿Un simple loco o alguien a quien el sistema volvió loco? Dímelo en la caja de comentarios.